Super live.
Super live.
Super duper live.
The way we do it.
Yo, we have a very special guest. Fresh off the plane. Peter Bromka is in the building.
Thanks for having me.
We had breaking news. Yesterday, following Peter had an exclusive on this story on his Instagram. But we picked it up.
There's no rules. You just launch.
There is no rules. You got to launch. Yeah. We follow the voice of those around us, you know? So we're going to chat with Peter a little bit, maybe go down memory lane a touch, and then Peter's going to talk about why he's out. But before we get to that, we are on, as you know, BIEL Watch 2026. So let's take a quick look at the map. Here we go. Zooming out. We have all of our solo athletes coming through here. Minute four. Great. Solo athletes coming through here. This, I believe, is Barstow. I think this is Barstow.
Yeah.
And then goes up through Baker, which is here.
Yep.
And then folks can come up this way and head Powerline, or stay more, or if they, actually, this is the point where if you're taking the OG route, you go north on Death Valley Road up Baker. Peter has me nervous. I know this very well.
You know this better than
Peter,
me.
No, but you know all of this way better than me. Anyway, so Baker is a big intersection point to where folks can stay on the OG route or take Powerline. We did hear one thing before we get to BIEL Watch 26, which was some teams out there with us, Tommy and all. They said that Emo did not take Powerline. She was actually running the OG route parallel to the 15. So a lot of other solo athletes were following her there. So right now, I think BIEL and Johnny Ramos, who's here, are the only who came in at the mouth of Powerline and have stayed on for the entire time. So I think we'll see when they get to Baker, do they then pick back up on Powerline and go there, or do they go the OG? My guess is they'll go up here and then head to Prim from there. But we will see. In any case, this is our California-Nevada line, which is where Prim is, and BIEL is right there. I'm going to say 5 miles from the state line. Prim is 42 miles from the finish, so I think it's safe to say he's less than 50 miles out. We are, as you can see our clock, 10 plus 48 is 58:29 into the race.
Super proud.
The current record, I'm just going to pull up our records real quick so we all know. Current record we've talking about solo overall by Aaron Kubala is 75 hours flat, 75:00. Fun fact, if anybody knows, Aaron had put in the side bet that his finishing time was going to be 75 hours. He arrived at the finish before 75 hours and waited by the sign to touch the sign so that he could win the side bet. Pro move.
That's a pro move. And Aaron joined us earlier if you got our Super Live from SF, the Bay Area Outpost.
Yeah, he is running with the SF teams, so we will see him there. It'll be fun to see a couple maybe solo record holders together. And then I just want to mention Lucy holds the women's record, 82:41. 82:41 is the women's record. Emo is really pushing, so I think that is a conversation. Maybe we're on Emo Watch. We'll have to see. Stand by. Keep on Super Live. We'll tell you more about that. But we can talk about the map all day. We have a very special guest in the building. Peter Bromka, legend of running, legend of writing about running, legend of talking about writing about running. Peter, you just came in from Portland. Welcome.
Over and
Welcome.
over. Thank you so much. Oh man, I'm happy to be here. I like to tell people that there was a moment in time where I knew the most about this map of anyone.
Yeah.
And then, then the pandemic happened. And during the pandemic, people got into a lot of things.
Yeah.
And some people got really into the map.
Yeah.
Such that it was not just enough to scout the map, but people flew into Vegas and scouted it in reverse.
Yeah.
They scouted it from LA. So I became more of a super fan of the people who were hardcore about the map, and
Yeah.
then have followed for, time flies.
I
It's
know.
been years
Yeah.
since we won. It took a chunk of our soul to win
Yep.
Team BRS back in 2019,
Yep.
and that's when I've written about it. We could link to it, but we were convinced the only way Adidas was going to achieve the goals that they had put up on social was they were going to go a new route.
Yeah.
And no one had ever broken from the OG route.
Right.
And
Except for you, for a tenth of a mile, right?
Oh, sorry. The year before, I'd said, there's no rules to Team Tracksmith.
Yeah.
I could just sprint straight. So there's a great photo of me running straight into the crowd
Yeah.
as everyone's taking the left. But then shortly, also when you're the first person to go off the map, I sprinted so hard. I was like, I can't take
Yeah.
a shortcut.
And then end up behind.
And then, so I went out real hard that day.
Yeah.
But then, we I like to say, I mean, all this technology evolves from the start of Speed Project. Zach Lambert.
Yep.
They had mapped out a way to Vegas.
Yeah.
And then as years went on, in 2019, GPS maps had evolved to the point where we just dropped Sean Watson. Shout out Sean Watson.
Shout out Sean Watson.
OG team. We dropped in Santa Monica Pier, Las Vegas, and Strava drew us a new map that we were like, hey, this must be what Adidas is doing. And it wasn't out of like us thinking we were smarter than anyone. It was us thinking if we don't do this, we're chicken shit.
No chance. Yeah.
Like we have no chance. A lot unfolded. We got 3 or 4 vans stuck in the desert.
Cautionary tale. Cautionary tale. 4x4s only.
Yeah, when you know when you look around and you're like, who's in charge here? And you're like,
This guy.
this guy's in charge. Shout out JJ. I was like, will you just punch me in the stomach?
Yeah.
Like I want to vomit. I
Yeah.
feel. And he was like, you know when you're like, I'm so sorry, and you just want someone to say like, it's okay, and they don't.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
mhm.
Yep.
Shout out to JJ.
You did
Yeah,
this.
shout out to JJ
Yeah.
for so yeah. So that's how that unfolded, and then from there, it's been years of me saying like, hey, make sure you cover that front of the race because I have friends on Bandit, on all sorts of teams. I've had Daddy Braddy, and then like the madness would unfold, and I'd be getting side texts of like, this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah.
The on team, Kilgore,
Yep.
like fielding teams of runners, and he's like, I'm like, how did you suddenly get? I woke up and you're at the Vegas sign, and
Right.
he's like, I told you I brought some trail runners, like
Yeah.
we were ready to rip. So that was a year, and so I've been bothering Nils and Scotty for years, like you should really just hound that front of the race and see what's going down, and almost put a spotlight and some pressure
Yeah.
on how much those decisions that are unfolding.
Yep.
And so that'll be, you said, I mean, do it yourself.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna hand the mic to you, Faith, in just a minute. But I think one thing I'll just add is we've never been able to. We don't ever have enough insider knowledge. We haven't before because we don't want to get too involved in what teams are doing, and often we'll be surprised. We wake up on Saturday morning at Death Valley and Powerline Road that Daddy Braddy's or this team or that team are 3 hours less, hour and a half from the finish. And then we've got to get in a car, speed to Vegas just to meet them at the finish because we didn't know what route they were taking. And so now we have a dedicated pro who's going to be out there. So Peter's officially part of our hosting crew. He and the team are going to be out following that front of the pack, reporting back in with what is happening there. I think you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
You're going to relay a bunch to us. And then we'll make sure, I think, when sunrise hits on Saturday, we know exactly who's in the mix and where they're at. So very thankful that you're here, and it'll be a piece of the race experience we haven't been able to cover.
We're gonna try
before.
some things.
That's right. That's right. Just because we're super live, I've got to step out real quick. Other things happening.
Super live.
I'm gonna hand off to Faith. It might be nice if you feel like it. Maybe share a little bit about your history with TSP. I think it might be nice just to hear. Like you've done a few things. I think things.
Yeah, we'll get some strategy.
As you want to. Enjoy.
I love
see you
that-
soon.
Super live.
Over here. Crossing. Okay. Sweet. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'll see you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in a minute.
So it's fun that we finally are here
I
at TSP
know.
together, many years in the making.
Yes.
Oh my.
I think when people think about the Speed Project, they don't necessarily think it's going to be a crazy race to the finish because of how long it is. But you know from firsthand that it can be.
Can be.
There are people out here sprinting. Why? How? Will you tell us, like, in that last chunk of any of the races you want to talk about, how did the strategy evolve? What was going on for folks that don't know?
Yeah, so I met Nils in 2014, and he came up to Portland and did a little screening of the video that you can find on YouTube, the original movie. And we became friends. He and Blue Benedum, like, they loved to go on a run and run fast. And so we would go running, and I would ask them, about the backstory, but also, like, how fast do you think someone could run that route? And they're like, well, you never know. You'd have to bring a team. I had the fortune of being asked to be on the 2017 team with Team Strava. This is back when Nils and Blue were on. They would run, they would win, and they had insider knowledge, they had speed, and they would just walk away. So we got, I think, third that year, and I thought, I just feel like we could put together a team of people who are committed to just going hard from the start. And that's when we first met. Introduced by a mutual friend. We tried to put together a team with this vision of going just like balls out from the start. didn't quite come together. And so I was on the fringes and available when Team Tracksmith said, hey, do you want to jump on our team last minute? And I said, sure. So this was like, man, we had swagger. We had like 6 marathoners who had all been hammering mileage, and we were like, we're going to go for it. And we heard about some other teams that maybe were going to approach it. And this is, again, years ago, much less knowledge about how it would all unfold. But we'd heard there were a few teams that might try to keep up with us. So we get out into the lead, we're cruising along, and we're feeling good. But we're hearing about a French team that's a bunch of triathletes, apparently. And they were like, you got to get a hold of this. They would like go out with 2 athletes. One's running, the other one's on a bike, and then they would stop and switch. And they were just like switching back and forth.
But you were running, so did you know that? Like, did the word get to you?
Yeah, it was like, this is where rumors, it's like cell phone, like text message, and then some on the live. You know, I think probably Scotty, this is back when these lives would happen on Instagram Live, and then they're like, look at this team, they're doing this cool thing. And we're like, oh, that's cute, that's nice. This is also right about when, I should mention, I did not fully appreciate the solar heat of outside LA. We had a plan for paces that were conservative, and I just remember, I think my second or third leg, all my muscles starting to like cramp down and going into full, you know, those like all the mental tricks you use to stay. And I was like, man, I'm using these way too early. It's the first half of the first day. Turns out I was experiencing not heat stroke, heat exhaustion, luckily. But man, oh man, it was debilitating. And so
literally,
in short order, I was getting slower and slower. This is when your team really has to step up. David Kilgore, who many people might know because he's done this many times, I had no idea who he was. I'd met him 2 days before. Turns out he's a total crusher.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, bro, hey. I mean, you're looking at your teammate going, there's no possible way I can go out there. Like, and you kind of know, like, well, I'm fucked, but also, like, what am I going to ask? They just got out back from the desert. So he went out a couple times for me, and then eventually, as the sun was coming up on the second day, I was still peeing brown. I like called it. I was like, I'm slower than all of you. But before the sun was rising, we're down to about 5 athletes. The French team, I was laying in the back of the RV, and I'll never forget. You could just see the headlights of their van, like it's like a shark. Like.
And how far out do you think you were around that time?
We were approaching, again, OG route.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Death Valley, and we're like getting towards the Nevada border. But in OG route, you got to swim pretty far north, and you got to come in. And so I like to say I got a front row seat to one of the most intense competitive battles I'd ever seen. Like, as they got closer, Tracksmith started handing off faster and faster. And I'm like, this can't happen.
Right.
This is not reasonable. This is not sustainable. And they're like, dude, you're fucking laid out.
So earlier on, what length would your legs be, for example?
So we would start out, traditional way years ago would you go 10K legs, then 5K legs, and then maybe mile by mile by mile.
Okay.
The French team is going 1 kilometer at a time, and they're catching.
And then switching.
Switching. And I think and then it got to so they get close. Then Tracksmith starts throwing our fastest runner out there. He goes for a little bit. Then, again, I'm like laid out on the couch, just feeling awful, and I'm hearing, they're matching our fastest runner with their fastest runner. So now it's like a boxing match of like while technically a team of 6 should average a certain average, there's a certain psychological warfare of saying like, I'm going to go head to head, and our fastest woman's going to get against your fastest woman, so you don't even get to break away. And it was totally insane to the point where Jason Iyer, one of our fastest men at the time, he had said famously or infamously, like, I just want to see how much mileage I can stack.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they finally just like threw him on the couch, started throwing bags of ice on him because his eyes were bloodshot and he was totally fried. I mean, he was fried. And you're like, he's not going out again until he can speak clearly. And so now you're down to 4 athletes, and the French team, they pulled into the distance, and I there's a photo of me. I step out of the RV as we're like heading down. You can see the biggest lights, and they're sprinting off in the distance, and then I'm just throwing up on my own feet. And I'm like, yeah, that'll make you feel better.
So these stories previously have only existed in the minds, souls potentially the dreams or nightmares of those who experience them. This year, Peter Bromka is going to bring them to us live from the front of the pack. Super, super live, the only way we ever do anything, of course. So stay tuned, follow along, and we're gonna bring you stories from the front.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very cool.
thank
Thank you. Back to solos, which is happening right now. We are going to bring you the pre-interview so you can get to know one of our solos, Jen Curtis, a little bit. She's part of the New York running community, originally from Buffalo, has really beautiful, wonderful stories for why she and members of her family run for Team Brock. So check it out.
All right, Tommy runs here again, back with another crazy, wonderful solo runner. Please introduce yourself to the audience, but then also let's get into some of these questions.
Sure. I'm Jen Curtis, from Buffalo, but living in New York, and this will be my second time doing TSP solo in LALV.
All right, so the cool thing about you, one of the cool things about you is that, first off, I remember you from last year because I ran into your family out there. You did solo
Yes.
last year as well.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And so last year I ran into your family, really great people. They were like I think they might have had a big head of you or something like that at one point. Very great cheer squad and support crew. You've come back to LALV and you're deciding to do this unsupported this
Yep.
time. So number one, why?
Yep.
And then what are you looking forward to out there?
Number one, why is I loved my crew. It's my mom, my sister, my two friends, Bobby and Jam. Shout out to them. But it's a lot. And they did so much for me last year, and I loved my experience. And I thought I wanted to do this in a different way and come back, but try this additional hard part and doing it by myself. I saw other runners doing it last year. And James Poole's done it, and I'm gonna try and see if I can do it.
All right, so like there's many things that like the relay folks run into. There's a bunch of stuff that the solo supported runners run into, and then the unsupported have their own set of like things that they have to go through as well. What is one of the things that you're kind of looking forward to discovering out there on your own?
It's what I love. I've done Caminos with my mom, and so these long walks in Europe that you go to each town, and I feel like it's going to be similar and harder though, but it's just thinking about water and food, eating, and going the right direction, and I really like simplifying things that way, and it's another way to like get to spend time with yourself and learn more about everything that you're capable of.
And what's, one thing is obviously you did a lot of planning for this, less planning than planning for a crew, obviously. But
Yeah.
you still have to plan the route and then where you're going to go, where you're going to sleep and eat and all that. What's one of the things that you're not looking forward to being an issue, but you're aware of and you're kind of looking forward to overcoming?
Definitely day 4 or 5, where there's less access to water, is something that's been top of mind. There's not even a place to stay in Baker. So that's like the most uncertain part, like not quite sure what I'm going to do when I get there. I think if it's bad weather, like, or I'm just not feeling it, I could Uber. So it's crewless. I'll take support. I'll sleep in a hotel. If somebody wants to give me water, I'm going to take it. But that day is going to be hard. I could muscle through maybe and go through the night. But there's other things to worry about in the night. Running out of power and I can't see, and it's the dogs. It's it's a lot. But I think I'm gonna get a lot of momentum in the first 3 days, which are still long miles but easier, and hopefully that carries me to the most difficult days 4 and 5.
Well, I'm super excited to see. I mean, I was rooting for you the last year when we were kind of like close on the same path, and then you went your way and I went mine. So I'm really excited to see you at the end of this race and see you in Vegas and talk to you about all the things that you saw, witnessed, and learned while you're out there.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's hard just getting here. So shout out to everybody who is able to start and everybody who wasn't, because it's a journey and things can get in the way. And I almost didn't because of work issues, and I'm sure a lot of people have even more challenges with like life and family that it's just amazing to be part of this process at all.
Well, you guys heard it. Make sure you follow along with Jen Curtis as she's out there doing unsupported solo LA to LV.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome hearing from Jen, one of our unsupported athletes who is out there supported, uncrewed, carrying everything needed on her back, and we love that. So shout out to Jen. See you soon. Thanks for being here.
Oh, I can't wait.
See you out in the desert.
See you there.